Blessings from the Orchard Realm Prologue, The Quiet Derailment. Ellie Matsuda's life was small, by design. Her apartment was a studio box near the river, wedged between a dentist's office and a bakery that only opened after noon. She ate microwaved barley rice and pickled plums, drank her tea cold, liked things that didn't ask questions. Inventory clerk, low seniority, no late arrivals, no warnings. She scanned barcodes all day in fluorescent silence and never minded. She didn't follow the news, didn't celebrate her birthday, had a favorite umbrella but no one to lose it to. Most days she walked home, instead of taking the bus, even when it rained, not for her health, just to keep the routine clean. Her neighbors didn't know her name, neither did her co-workers. That didn't bother her. Being unnoticed was easier than being misremembered. She didn't believe in fate, or magic, or anything else that arrived uninvited. She believed in schedules, in lukewarm vending machine coffee, in disappearing politely. No pets, no plants, one friend, maybe depending on how you define friend. She liked things small, meals, conversations, expectations. And then, one evening, somewhere between two stations, the train came off the track. It didn't make the news. She remembered a jolt, a sudden blue light, a weightlessness that felt too clean. She boarded the 842 southbound from Higashi Nakano. 4 cars, 11 passengers, rain on the windows. The air smelled faintly of brakes and overheated plastic. She wore a cardigan 2 sizes too big.
Blessings from the Orchard Realm, Chapter 1, Misplaced Soul. When Ellie opened her eyes, the sky looked artificial blue, like a screen turned up too high. The grass beneath her was soft, warm, and unreasonably clean. She sat up. No blood, no bruises, just sunlight, air, and the fading memory of a train's brakes screaming. "This is not the station. Please don't tell me I got isekai'd in my work uniform." She had. Ellie Matsuda, 26, inventory checker. No remarkable traits. She liked tea, solitude, and avoided eye contact with vending machines. Now she stood in a field that looked painted. Nothing moved unless it wanted to be seen. Okay. Deep breath. Maybe I hit my head. Maybe this is a coma dream with nice lighting. Nope, said a voice behind her. You're awake. Coma dreams don't issue documents. She turned. An old man, wide hat, linen robe, kind eyes, smelled faintly of steam and soil. Who are you? Caretaker. Welcome to the Orchard Realm. The word realm dropped like a stone into a still pond. So this is an actual other world? With slimes and magic and weird job systems? Yes to slimes, no to fireballs. And you've been soft transferred. Gentle class soul. A scroll appeared. Her name glowed across it. Job. Caretaker. Status. Alive, mostly. Location, Orchard Perimeter. Gentle class? What does that even mean? Means you're good at quiet things. Plants, laundry, conversations with sentient furniture. A cart approached. 2 slimes inside, one wearing a basket, one with a monocle. Those are the slimes? Pickle and Professor, don't step on them. She didn't panic, mostly because nothing around her had earned it yet. So, what now? Now you go meet your house. Don't feed it after midnight. He handed her a seed-shaped key. It pulsed in her hand like it had a memory of her. The orchard stretched ahead. The path shimmered like it had always been there, just unclaimed. All right. But if this turns into a dungeon crawl, I'm suing someone celestial.
Blessings from the Orchard Realm, Chapter 2, The House That Breathes. The orchard had no birds, no bugs, no sound, but wind that passed like it was running late. Ellie followed the path. The slimes jiggled ahead, not quite bouncing, more like gliding with a smug wobble. Is it normal for a key to feel like it's breathing? It was here. The path narrowed, trees leaned in their bark, shimmered faintly, like it remembered fire or feared it. At the end of the path was a house, if you could call it that. It looked grown, not built, roof curled like petals, walls the color of old bone. This is my house? Affirmative structure assigned sentience level, passive-aggressive. She stepped onto the threshold, the key pulsed. Okay, house, I'm Ellie. Please don't eat me. The door opened, no hinges, just opened, a yawn made of wood and breath. Inside, dustless, warm, smelled like thyme and something wet beneath the floorboards. A table set for one, a chair that sighed when she looked at it. You're alive, aren't you? Technically. She didn't scream, just nodded, sat down, the chair adjusted to her spine, like a butler with opinions. Okay, I'm in a living house, assigned a caretaker job, gentle class soul, talking furniture. This is fine. This is absolutely... Someone's coming! The voice came from the wall, not through it, from it. Outside, the wind stopped. A figure appeared at the tree line, thin, wrong in the joints, like it bent around a memory. Unscheduled contact, defensive mode recommended. Defensive mode? With what? I have a key and a chair that talks in size. Deploying salt. The slime popped its lid, pelted the figure with something sparkling. The figure paused, tilted its head, then grinned, too wide, too sharp. It walked into the orchard like it owned the roots. Can it come in? Not without invitation. Good. Then I'm not inviting anyone. Blessings from the Orchard Realm, Chapter 3, House Rules. Ellie didn't sleep, not because of the bed, it adjusted to her spine like it had known her, but because the thing outside never moved. It stood there, past the orchard's edge, watching, not knocking, not breathing, just waiting. Still there? Yes. Smiling. Morning light came soft like apology. The figure was gone, the dread was not. She stepped out, the grass leaned away, her house grumbled, answers now. She marched back, pickle bounced, professor floated, the orchard blinked. The caretaker sat at a tea table that hadn't been there yesterday. Something was outside watching me all night. Then you've been marked. Gentle class always draws attention. What kind of attention? The kind that knocks twice? He poured tea. Steam rose like a question. 3 rules. First, don't name what follows you. Second, feed your house before yourself. Third, if you hear bells underground, walk away. And if I don't, you'll regret it briefly. She returned. The door opened without being touched. The house was colder. Something wrapped in damp cloth waited on the step. Please don't be ahead. It wasn't just a scroll, ink shimmered dark. Caretaker Ellie, attend the periphery, feast, decline at your own risk. Don't go. We've been once. And the chair creaked, not a word, just warning. Then, distant bells, too deep, too hungry. And Ellie understood. The Orchard Realm didn't test strength, it tested etiquette. Blessings from the Orchard Realm, Chapter 4, The Feast at the Periphery. The invitation bled, not figuratively. Ink pooled along the edge like it didn't want to be touched. She followed a path lit by fungi that blinked when stepped on. The orchard shifted behind her. She arrived at a clearing shaped like a circle. Someone had whispered into the ground. A single table, long pale wood that looked sanded by memory, each chair already filled. The guests didn't speak. Most lacked mouths, some lacked heads. A figure stood at the far end, masked in bark, smiling wrong.
You came, how brave.
I got an invitation.
You got bait.
A chair pulled itself out, waited. She sat, the seat gripped her spine like it planned to remember it.
A plate appeared, silver empty.
First course. Memory yours.
A waiter poured wine. It smelled like old hallways. She sipped. It tasted like the moment she realized no one was coming back. Her hands shook. The glass didn't.
Second course. Silence.
Nothing came. No one moved. Time held its breath. Final course, choice. A seed and a knife appeared, one warm, one cold. Cut your way home, or root yourself here.
What if I don't choose?
Then, you stay at the table, forever.
She stared at both.
Then picked the seed.
The table sighed. The guests exhaled once.
Roots coiled beneath her feet, not tight, familiar. She stood, the chair let go. The host bowed, a little too low. She walked back alone, but not unaccompanied. The orchard leaned closer. When she reached the house, the key was already in the door.
You chose the seed.
Yes.
Then the orchard chose you.
Far off, a bell rang, slow, deep.
Blessings from the Orchard Realm, Chapter 5, The Bell Beneath. 3 days passed. The seed sat on her table, unmoving, untouched, yet every morning it had changed. First it sprouted veins, then it cracked open. This morning it pulsed. I didn't plant it, it doesn't care. She opened the window, the orchard stared back. A knock at the door, not the kind you hear, the kind your spine registers before your ears catch up. She opened it anyway. A boy stood there, 11, maybe too clean, too symmetrical. Karatheta, Ellie, the bell rang, you're summoned. I don't hear any. Then she did, a bell low and slow, buried beneath the orchard. Not sound, pressure like a hand on her chest, pressing inward. What does it want? Answer. She followed him. The orchard parted, trees whispering old names she hadn't earned yet. They arrived at a hole. No frame, no ladder, just depth. And the sound that wasn't sound. There's nothing down there. Correct, that's why it's hungry. He handed her a spool of thread, no further instruction. She tied it to her wrist, began to climb down. The thread unwound itself, almost eager. 20 feet, then stone 30, then water. It didn't stop her. At 40 feet, the bell stopped, and something else began. Breathing, not hers. She reached the bottom. No floor, just roots coiled like waiting fingers. Something blinked in the dark. Not eyes, just the idea of being seen. You chose the seed. Yes, then you must feed it. A hand rose from the soil, not human, not whole. It offered her something small, pale, still warm, her own name written on bone. What happens if I don't take it? Then it grows, anyway, hungry. Blessings from the Orchard Realm, Chapter 6, Things that Grow in the Dark. The seed and the bone had fused overnight, not grafted, fused, no seam, no memory of being two. It pulsed, now throbbed. Really like a second heart, her house adjusted its breathing to match.
You should bury it.
In the orchard.
No, somewhere. It won't take root.
She wrapped it in cloth. The cloth came away, damp, something inside was sweating. She walked until the trees grew crooked, until light felt like it was being watched. Nothing grew here, but fungi shaped like ears. They tilted toward her footsteps. She dug a hole, shallow earth too stubborn for deep.
You don't belong to me.
She buried the thing anyway. It twitched once, underground, like it agreed. When she returned, the house was waiting on the roof. Not the building, the house itself, roof curled back like petals, walls tall and wrong. It looked down at her.
You left it behind.
I had to.
It knows your name.
She stepped inside, the house reassembled around her, floorboards tight, window panes trembling.
The chair had moved, sat beneath a hatch she hadn't noticed before.
Up there, something fell through.
She climbed. The attic was wrong, cold, dustless, the kind of space that remembered funerals.
Something waited in the corner, hunched familiar.
It turned, same face, her face, mouth full of soil.
You left me?
You're not me.
Not yet.
They stared at each other, one heartbeat, two bodies. Then the attic blinked, light gone, floor shifted. When her eyes adjusted, the other her was gone. In its place, a mirror cracked wet on the inside. She touched it. Her finger came away with blood that wasn't hers.
You need to decide soon.
Decide what?
Which part of you gets to stay alive?
Blessings from the Orchard Realm, Chapter 7. The orchard opens. Ellie awoke to silence, the kind that pushes on your ears like pressure, not absence. The windows were gone, not broken, absent only wall now. Her door pulsed, not wood anymore, something with muscle memory.
All right. You want me outside? Say it.
It didn't speak, but it opened. The orchard had changed, trees leaned in, forming a path too perfect to be random. She walked it anyway. Mouths bloomed from the bark. None bit, all smiled. She reached the place she buried the seed. It wasn't a seed anymore. It had become a spine, curved, rooted, growing vertebrae like fruit.
No.
It bent toward her, a gesture, or hunger.
Too late.
She turned the boy from before, still clean, still wrong. It chose a form because you didn't. I chose not to feed it. Not feeding is still feeding. Starvation is a shape too. The ground cracked beneath it, something swam. She ran, roots parted, laughed, let her go. Back at the house, her reflection was waiting on the porch. You're slower than I hoped. You don't belong here. I belong to whatever you buried. They stared, same breath, one future. Choose. The orchard opened, wide waiting. Blessings from the Orchard Realm, Chapter 8. The Rooted Blade. She woke to silence, not peace, just the kind of hush that follows something climbing up from underneath. She stepped outside. The air smelled like damp teeth. The place where she'd buried the seed was split open. Roots clawed outward like ribs. In the center it grew. A sickle bone, white, half buried, half born. Its curve caught light that wasn't there. The blade was fused vertebrae, the handle, twisted root wrapped in muscle. Nope. No. This is not what seeds are supposed to do. She didn't move, the orchard did. Trees leaned in, soil breathed. It grew for you. The sickle trembled, not from wind, from recognition. She stepped forward, reached out, touched it. The handle pulsed, the blade sang in a voice only bone remembers. Visions came. Not hers, something else's. Long corridors, doors opening backwards, her own name written on bark. She pulled it free. It did not resist. It liked being held. What do you want me to cut? Something laughed beneath the orchard. She turned, her reflection waited, no expression, just hunger. That's not for fighting. I know. She walked past her double. The trees parted. The orchard wanted blood or answers. The blade in her hand hummed. It had waited long enough. Blessings from the Orchard Realm, Chapter 10. The Caretaker's Garden. She stood in silence. The ash from the echo still clung to her boots. The sickle was warm. She turned, and the caretaker was already there. Not breathless, not surprised, just angry in that slow, quiet way trees hate lightning.
That should not have happened.
It attacked me.
It was you, what you were supposed to become.
He moved past her, trailed by a wind that hadn't existed until he wanted it.
The orchard doesn't make weapons, it makes offerings.
Then what's this? She raised the sickle. It pulsed in her grip. The caretaker flinched.
It should have rooted like the others.
He reached into the soil, pulled back a curtain of moss beneath it. A garden.
Not of plants, of people.
Bodies curled under roots, faces half absorbed, skin like bark, teeth bloomed from the ground like daffodils. Gentle class, everyone, quiet souls, grow clean fruit, easy memory, no resistance. She stepped back, the sickle buzzed low, like a blade that had just remembered what it was for.
You were going to do that to me.
You still belong here. His arms stretched too long, bark split along his spine, something opened beneath his ribs.
You were never meant to survive.
She didn't run this time. She stepped forward. The sickle raised itself.
Blessings from the Orchard Realm, Chapter 11, Splitwood. The caretaker moved like a door swinging off its hinges, graceful and wide. His arms cracked open, from his sleeves poured roots wet, pale, veined with light. His voice came from his chest now. You weren't meant to bloom. She raised the sickle. It vibrated like it had been waiting for this moment since it was bone. She struck first quick. The blade kissed his shoulder. Bark split, sap hissed.
He didn't flinch.
You drew a harvesting blade that makes you a reaper, and reapers don't last long here. A root burst from the ground, struck her ribs, not enough to break, just enough to remind her she could. She stumbled back. Another root snapped toward her ankle. She cut it mid-air. It screamed like a child. The trees began to twist. Their limbs turned inward, forming a ring, no escape, just audience. He grew taller, limbs lengthening, chest hollowing inside his ribs. Something moved. Faces gentle class, half absorbed, whispering. You fed them to the orchard. I kept them useful. He swung a branch arm, wide arc. She ducked, felt bark graze her scalp. Blood followed. She spun, low, sickle first. Caught a thigh. Its split roots burst like nerves. He roared, but it wasn't pain. It was delight. The ground split open behind her, roots reached up, smelling blood. She jumped over them, rolled, landed wrong. Her wrist buckled, the sickle fell. She crawled for it. Bark hands clawed through the dirt, racing her to the handle. Too slow. He pinned her with one massive foot. His weight was not just weight, it was history. This was never your story, Ellie. You were compost. She screamed, not in pain, in rage. Underneath her, the orchard listened.
Blessings from the Orchard Realm, Chapter 12, Wound Root. The caretaker's foot pressed into her spine, bones flexed a little more and she would break. He didn't rush, orchards grow slow. You want to fight, then root yourself and break first. She reached for the sickle, fingers brushed it. The handle pulsed, then twisted away. It moved not toward her, away. The blade had learned fear. She howled, her arm bent wrong. Something popped near her shoulder. She didn't stop. She crawled. Roots slithered across her path. One caught her leg and bit. Not wrapped, bit. She kicked free, left skin behind. She slammed her hand down on the sickle. It shrieked, then gave in. She swung up, caught his ankle. The blade sunk halfway. He staggered. The ground recoiled. For the first time, he looked surprised. You cut the orchard. She rose, crooked, bleeding from her nose, mouth, leg. She didn't speak, her lungs were full of soil. The caretaker pulled something from his chest.
A root coiled tight, it twitched. He threw it. It struck her stomach, burrowed in. She screamed, the root fed on her not blood memory. She saw her mother's face, then forgot it. Her childhood room gone, her own name blurred. She dropped the sickle. The orchard pulsed, pleased. The caretaker raised a limb, curved like a scythe. She crawled backward, hands shaking, her mouth filled with names she no longer remembered. Above her, the trees bent low, ready to bury her in roots and forget her. Then the sickle pulsed again, louder, hotter. Not fear this time, hunger.
The sickle rose on its own, hovered above the soil, then dropped into Ellie's hand like it had made up its mind. It burned the heat of stolen memory. Her own name surged back, but only halfway. I remember hating subways. She stood, shaking, bleeding from too many places to catalog, but breathing. She lunged fast. The sickle sliced a shoulder. The caretaker's bark armor splintered. You think pain matters? He slammed his arm into her ribs. She flew, crashed into a root wall. Something cracked inside her. She coughed blood, spat it on the sickle. The blade drank. The caretaker spoke again, but not to her, to the orchard. She wasn't meant for this soil. I marked her. She was mine. Above them, the trees rippled, bark peeled like scabs. Beneath every trunk, bones. Ellie crawled closer, heard the voices under the soil. Not ghosts, not echoes, the stolen. People who should have gone home, should have been reborn. The orchard was a cipher, a trap. This world belongs to gods I can't touch, but foreign souls, unregistered, that's free fruit. He grinned, sap oozed from the seams of his face. They were headed somewhere else, I gave them purpose. He swept his arm, a dozen roots exploded from the earth, each coiled around a face, twisting, screaming. Ellie screamed back and cut. One root fell, then another. The sickle moved faster than her hand, faster than thought. The blade curved mid-air, adjusted to her angles, grew longer. Each strike severed something more than wood, a whisper, a face, a piece of stolen life. The caretaker roared, not in pain, in fury. She damaged the cycle. You think if you win, you'll leave? The orchard keeps what it grows. She charged, the sickle cut into his chest. He grabbed her wrist, snapped it. She dropped, the sickle stayed hovering.
Blessings from the Orchard Realm, Chapter 14. Orchard of the Forgotten. The sickle hovered beside her, weighting her wrist, bent at an angle it shouldn't, bones loose in the socket. The caretaker watched her crawl, no rush, no mercy. You want to know what this place is? He paced slow, the trees bent to listen. Everything sentient here, every slime, every door, every spoon that hums lullabies, they were people. He gestured to the woods, the chair, the house, the stones that moaned when stepped on. They came here, same as you, from other worlds, pulled out of the cycle mid-reincarnation, scraped clean, made useful. The orchard didn't bury them, it harvested them. Most don't resist. Docile little souls, dumb and soft chairs, hats, walls. He smiled, not with joy, with certainty. They whisper sometimes, their old names, not words, shapes, echoes. That's what you've seen at night. The phantoms, the watchers, not monsters, just remnants. And I keep them all, I give them roles, better than oblivion. Ellie stared at her hand, broken, shaking. She wasn't afraid, she was furious. You made them into furniture, into peace. No hunger, no memory. Isn't that what your kind always want? She screamed, not words, just sound. The sickle responded. It jerked mid-air, hardened, lengthened. New blades split off like thorns. They gleamed black and green, poisonous. The handle twisted, wrapped around her forearm. Not a grip, a vow.
She stood one wrist limp, one arm armored in rage. Her mouth tasted of metal and sap. You took their names, you don't get mine. She charged the orchard and moaned around her. The sickle's new thorns kissed air. The caretaker laughed until the blade met bark. You've broken the rules. Then bury me somewhere without them.
The sickle screeched through bark. The caretaker staggered, regrew his arm, then struck again. Roots burst from his spine, formed armor across his chest. Hardened, she broke it. He grew thorns, she severed them. Every time she carved through him, he adapted new growth, new defense, more grotesque, more alive. You don't get tired, do you? I'm not done yet. She spun sickle first, hit his leg. It split, roots sprayed from the wound. He screamed and bent the forest inward. Branches stabbed the dirt around her, caging her, trapping, pressing in. She let the sickle dragged her upward, cut through the canopy like air. She came down hard, blade first into his shoulder. It sank deep. For the first time he stumbled, not theatrically, genuinely. She pressed her advantage, chopped through his arm, chopped again when it started growing back. He grunted, grew plates of bone across his ribs. She shattered them with a single scream-fed blow. And then, she saw it. Just for a second between heartbeats, his chest split, too slow to seal, and inside light. Not warm, not holy, just core twisting, glowing, rotating like a seed trying to germinate in ash. His face changed. Not rage, not madness, fear. She aimed there, all her strength, all her hate. He panicked. Vines whipped from his back, formed a shield. She cut them, poison thorns melted flesh and fiber alike. He stepped backward, the orchard recoiled with him. You don't understand what that is. I don't need to. You're guarding it. She slashed again, almost reached it, almost. He screamed, the ground split beneath them, roots pulled him down, dragged her with him. Darkness, heat, the scent of old wood and blood memory. They fell into the true orchard, the one no soul leaves. Blessings from the Orchard Realm. Chapter 16, Underroot. Orchard swallowed them whole. Ellie hit the ground hard, soil packed into her mouth. Her shoulder twisted wrong. The sickle stayed strapped to her arm, its thorns buried deep. Far ahead, the caretaker fled, not running, tunneling. He ripped through root and stone, bark armor reforming with every lurch. His chest pulsed, the core flickered. She limped after him, one hand useless, blood in her hair, her breath a whistle. She wasn't supposed to make it this far, and yet she kept going. In the dark, her thoughts got louder. Ellie Matsuda, inventory checker, liked tea, hated eye contact, flinched at sudden noises. She remembered hiding her lunch in the break room fridge so no one would talk to her. Now she was chasing a god monster through the guts of a parasitic forest with a sentient bone scythe fused to her arm. Was this always in me? She didn't know. Maybe the sickle made her into this. Maybe the orchard did. Or maybe it was always there. The blade, the will. She caught up to him, just close enough to see the trail of blood and root he left behind. She screamed. The sickle answered. It bloomed. New blades split from its back like wings, thorns curved in reverse. It wanted to dig. She plunged into the tunnel, clawed forward, dirt stung her eyes, the ground moaned around her. Farther ahead, the caretaker twisted, his voice trembled. You don't know what I protect. You don't know what will wake if I die. She didn't respond. She didn't need to. She saw his light ahead, glowing weak, flickering like it was running out of lives. She gripped the sickle, let it lead, and the orchard's walls began to shudder. She reached him in the dark. The caretaker crouched against the tunnel wall, chest pulsing dim, sap leaking from the base of his throat. He had tunneled far, but not far enough. His root legs were cracking, his limbs grew slower. "You think this ends with me?" She didn't answer. She lunged, the sickle curved. It struck his shoulder, split the bark, kept going. He roared, grabbed her by the throat, slammed her against the wall. She felt something tear inside, her lungs stuttered, but her grip stayed tight. The sickle opened again. Thorns split from the blade's base, defensive spines, they drove into his wrist. He let go, screamed as the venom burned through his bark skin. She dropped, he hit the stone floor hard. Tasted copper, stood anyway. The sickle dragged her toward him like it was starved. She buried it in his side. It sank, the core inside his chest sparked, visible again, bright, vulnerable. "You don't understand. That's not me." She twisted the blade. His body convulsed, cracked roots spasmed from his mouth. Bark fell away. And then, something else moved. Not him. Beneath him. The ground trembled, the roots writhed, the air went thin. She stepped back. The sickle hummed warning notes she didn't understand. His body split open from the center. Not death, not surrender, release. From the cavity in his chest poured not organs, but names. Thousands, millions, spoken and unspoken, screaming. She staggered, fell to one knee. Then the earth beneath her cracked, wide, wet, endless. She looked down, and something looked back.
Blessings from the Orchard Realm. Chapter 18, The Root Unbound. The ground detonated beneath her, not like an explosion, like a continent exhaling. Something surged up, colossal. She felt it before she saw it, felt the air fold, the sky split. A tendril thicker than a tower slammed into the earth and launched her into the air. She blacked out before she cleared the trees. When her eyes opened, only one of them did. She screamed as wind ripped past her. Her right eye saw nothing, only heat, only blood. She was going to die in the air. Alone. Then impact, but soft. The house caught her, a roof she didn't see coming, wood that stretched shingles like wings. It broke her fall. It screamed when it did. She heard its beams crack under her weight. She coughed blood into its floor. Her vision swam. I can't get up. The house didn't move. It held her like a cradle. Behind her, the monster rose. A being too large for her vision, its body unfurled like roots climbing in reverse. Eyes everywhere. Too many to count, watching, not blinking, not kind. Tendrils lashed out, tearing through the orchard. They struck glowing strands, neon, hair-thin, singing. The strands snapped, each one breaking with a scream. Ellie couldn't hear, only feel. They were filaments of soul, threads of memory,
threads of people. The gentle class, the echoes, the slimes, the chairs. They weren't food, they were bindings. The monster roared, the sound shook leaves off trees 3 miles away. Then it moved, not toward her, away. Blessings from the Orchard Realm, Chapter 19, What Remains. Ellie lay limp in the arms of her living house, blood soaking its floor. She watched the god thing leave. She couldn't move. Her lungs stuttered, her limbs spasmed, her right eye was gone. She watched the monster disappear into the horizon, like a mountain learning how to walk. Silence crept in. Then, slime. 2 shapes oozed toward her, small, familiar, ridiculous. Pickles, Professor. Are you gonna eat me? They didn't answer. They pressed against her open wounds, pain like teeth. They entered her, not to consume, to bind. Sinew stitched, bones realigned, holes filled with something warm and alive. Her spine cracked back into place, her ribs pulled tight, her mouth opened to scream, but the scream drowned inside her. She blacked out long before it ended. When she opened her eye again, the world was different. The orchard was gone. No trees, no roots, just husks, gray pillars like burned bones reaching for a sky that didn't want them. She sat up, no pain, only scars tied along her arms, across her ribs, around the hollow of her right eye. She touched her face, nothing there. No patch, no socket, just absence. Next to her, the sickle. It looked normal now, smaller still, like it had gone dormant. She stood, legs held, chest didn't wheeze. Her body had been rewritten, not perfect but functional. She picked up the sickle. No thorns, no glow, just weight. She turned east. The wasteland faded into a horizon she didn't recognize. She walked toward it, not because she had a plan, because there was nothing left to walk away from.
In the orchard's mouth I fell. No name, no soul, no shell. Pulled apart like rotted thread. The girl I was already dead. Eyes that bloom and roots that bind. Pulled me down in braided lines. They stripped my voice, they stole my breath. They grew me closer into death. But the silence cracked and the earth did bleed, and the sickle sang what I couldn't speak. So I crawled through the dirt of forgotten dreams. Thread by thread I was stitched into something mean. Was I gentle or just waiting to die? Now I walk with the dead under a roofless sky. I saw my face in things that break, a house that breathed, a chair that ached. They whispered names I'd never learn, just echoes wrapped in soil and fern. The orchard wasn't made to grow, it held a thing no gods could know. And every soul it wouldn't free, it turned to branches, turned to me.
So